Welcome to Is Luella. Today we have an incredible show lined up for you. We have an Emmy Award author, Kim Estes, who has a movie called Dick, and he is Sergeant Amanda Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our Emmy Award, Kim Estes. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Luella. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially on this ground. This is where I went to school, so it's nice to be back.
Yes, I was studying your bio, and I understand that you're a scholarship graduate of 1978, where you got your BS in marine engineering. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Went to college here. We were the first four-year college to be accredited by the Accreditation Society, and we graduated with Bachelor of Science degrees in engineering and nautical science and technology. And from there, you either take a land-based job or a shore-based job. You can go to sea for a living and sail on those ships like right behind you in the showcase, or to take land-based jobs dealing with logistics or supplies or navigation, a whole host of functions dealing with nautical science and technology, but also a whole host of functions dealing with engineering as well.
Great. So, how did you feel the day that you received your bachelor's degree?
I felt as though I was the luckiest man on the planet to have gone to this institution and have to have graduated with my class and gone through all the examinations issued by the Coast Guard and also, of course, by the institution, but also by the licensing institution, and then receive a naval commission on top of that as well as an ensign in the reserves. It was a wonderful place to jump off.
Well, I want to congratulate you because you're just doing an incredible thing. You're just a walking success story. And I am just so excited to hear about your film career. Like, how did all that begin?
That's one of the great gifts, I guess. I've got a lot of them. My life has been full of gifts, and so I count that as another one. I went to sea for almost 14 years after graduation from the academy, and I sailed on oil tankers and freighters and some strange ships, but after a while I felt that there was more. It was something else. And I asked the president of the company at the time, Jerry Asplin, could I go to school? I wanted to find out what that other thing was, that MBA thing. And he told me no. So I had to come ashore first and then transition to a graduate program. And I did. I left the ships and then became Director of Emergency Response and Government Relations for Arco Marine, for the Marine Department, the Marine Group of the same company, Atlantic Richfield. And from there, after I graduated, after I took that job, I became head of operational integrity, which was environment, health, and safety, and quality systems, and emergency response. And then they said, well, okay, now you can go to school. So I went to school, got my MBA, and then came back, and then I went into the corporate Atlantic Richfield company, which was downtown on 5th and Flower, the old Arco building, and ended up policy and assurance and environment, health, and safety. I went to Washington, D.C. for a while and joined the lobbying group back in Washington, D.C., came back, and then became head of environment, health, and safety and sustainability for the corporation, for Atlantic Richfield Company. And then we were purchased by British Petroleum. In that transition, though, again, that thing hit me. There's something else, and I didn't know what that something else was. So I took a little time, and even though I was born and raised in Hollywood, I had never explored what Hollywood was. The only time I had played in the field of entertainment, I guess you can call it that, would be commercial work or modeling work in San Francisco. Because when we were at sea, we'd go to sea for 60, 70, 80 days at a time, and then we'd be off for 2 months. And so one time early on, middle of all that, probably within the 6th, 7th year, my spouse decided that she was a little bit tired of me being in the home for 60 days at a time, and then sent me across the bay and said, why don't you go join, why don't you get into modeling over there, Faces International, and I did. And met a wonderful gentleman who was the acting coach. His name was Louis Parnell, and Louis Parnell asked me after class one day if I wanted to do it this way or the right way. And I said the right way, and he guided me to that point. So I was very happy, and that was the start of it. But that, I could only work for a very short period of time because I had to go back to sea at that point in time. So I only had another opportunity to do that after we were purchased by British Petroleum, which was 10 years later. And now I was in Los Angeles, one of the biggest markets in the world, and I started from scratch. I started reading magazines on how to be an actor for dummies. Every book known to man on how to do it. And I started from the bottom, became an extra in some very strange, odd movies, and did a lot of work for free, and gained my friendship, my relationships with people who were just like me, starting off in this acting world, and those relationships became my circle. And to this day, I still talk to some of those people who I was an extra with on those things that you'll never see because they never came to light, but they were interesting approaches to the business of acting, and I value all that time because I learned a great deal, and that allowed me to grow and to where I am today.
Well, I thank you for sharing that with me because that's a very interesting story, and I have a couple of sons too who was also in the Navy, they're in the branch of service Navy, so I know what you're talking about when you're talking about going to sea duties. So, and you're right, you have to gauge your schedule accordingly, but I just think that it's so amazing. So, how challenging was it to get your role down for Amanda Smith?
I was very fortunate in getting that role. A friend of mine, I didn't know the gentleman, he had cast me and we had worked together in another project, suggested that I play this role, Amanda, to the creators, and they called me in for a table read, and next thing you know, we're doing this 6-episode series. And you know, when you get it, you know the words and you understand the character, and you become the boss of two of the funniest women in the town, and they're hilarious, and I was just the straight guy, and so all I could do was play off of them and their madness, which is great, and so that's the readiness of the role, and like I tell people, if I ever need characters, I went to sea for almost 14 years. I have characters. They're in my head. There are characters, because these people who go to sea for a living, they come from all walks of life. They come from everywhere in the world, and I've got them. And right up here, so if I ever need a strange character, I can pull them out.
And, the other thing that I wanted to ask you, because of the film industry can be very challenging. Would you like to share some of the struggles that you encountered before you reached your level of success?
I think it's every acting job is a challenge. Every opportunity, I will say, you never know. Casting a project on the casting side of the fence, you're looking at people come in, every 5 to 7 minutes, and you're figuring out if they're right for the role. You're on the other side of the camera, and you're trying to impress upon them that you might be the right person for that role. Not a guarantee, but you have the character absorbed in you. And I think that's always the challenge of every actor, is to make sure that they absorb the character enough, not memorize the character, and not you create the character, become that character enough to where the casting director or the producer or the director or the writer says, yeah, that's who I had in my mind when I wrote this. And as close as you can get to that, which you never know whether you are or you aren't. But that's always going to be an actor's challenge. It will forever be an actor's challenge. But just the volume of auditions, the rejection, that is the biggest actor challenge. People who can't handle that usually don't stay around too long because you're told no a lot, an inordinate amount of no's. But for those no's, and then you get some yeses. Then it's like the Fuller Brush salesman. You know, you don't get a yes out of every door, but you know that 5th or 10th or 20th or 50th door, somebody says, yeah, I'll take the whole basket. I want everything. And then that's when you know that this is the job you've chosen. This is the path. And so you stay on that path and you don't give up. You don't give up. And as some people say, you can give up, but you can't quit. Yeah. And it's just one of those things that you just got to keep in mind that there's something out there for you. If this is your desire and your goal, nothing can stop you, your dream. Yeah. Nothing can stop you. And you can give up, but you cannot quit. People will scoot you along. Your family, your circle of friends will lift you up again and make you rise. And that's what it is. That's exactly what the business is about. It's about having the mindset to stay there and be okay with yourself and know that you are enough.
That is well said, and I totally agree with you because I'm in the entertaining industry, theatrical poet, and there is times that you run into hardship and you wondering and you ask yourself, is this really for me? So to our viewers, today we're here at California State University Maritime Academy interviewing an Emmy Award actor, Kim Estes, and as you can see, we have this beautiful, gorgeous Emmy right here that he brought just to inspire other people that has talents and to just show you what is possible. Kim, you star in some of my favorite series, which is Law and Order, LA, but I like all of them, but especially the ones that you're in. Yeah. Then NCSI. I can watch that 24 hours. And Private Practice. Tell me about how did you feel about those shows?
You've hit on a couple of my favorites, actually. 3 or 4 of my favorite characters or actors are in those shows that you mentioned. The one that I'll start off, there are 3 or 4 people who have always impressed me in Hollywood and in this business and in actually the world, in life. You can always view people as how you want to be, and then there's a group of people who, I don't want to be like that. When I get to be there, I don't want to be like that. But you learn from that, and you hold that in, and you make sure that you hold true to that value that you've had. And so one of them, Laurie. When I did the House episode, I'll just give you a short story. I don't know how much time we got, but I'll give you a short one. And you can always cut and edit, and I think we can do all those fun things. But I went in for the table read for House. It's 2008, I think, 10 years ago. And you sit at an oblong table. The guest stars and co-stars are around the table, people who have parts in the series. And then around the outer edge of that, against the wall, are the writers and the producers and people who are listening for the things they need to change in the episode. So they read the whole episode, and the stars are in the center. Before this starts, I'm down on the left-hand side of the oblong table, and the lady next to me was probably a co-star. She had a couple lines. This is probably her first time or second time being in an episode, and she says to me, and the person next to me, "Boy, you know what? If I get a chance to meet you, Laurie, I'm going to die," and or faint, I think is the term she used. Well, Laurie, who's in the center, gets up and he goes around the table and shakes everybody's hand and welcomes them to the table read and welcomes them to the episode. Each and every individual, whether you had one line or whether you had 50. And he came and shook that little girl's hand, and she turned white as a sheet. I thought she was going to go. I thought she was just going to pass right out. And her heart was so full. And she had just, like he had read her mind. But this is the way he is. And so a time goes by where if I'm on a set, and I don't care what I am, co-star, guest star, major star, I will go to the extras and introduce myself, because you have no idea how much that means to people. He didn't hear her. He didn't hear her. He just knew. He just knew that if he went around, and granted he was the executive producer of the show, but he went around and shook everyone's hand and made them feel welcomed and wanted them to do their best for that show. Because it not only helps them as the show, but it helps them as an actor or an artist grow and gives them confidence going to the next stage. So that's one. And then the other two people, Gina Davis, I did a show, one of my very first show, Commander-in-Chief, very first show as a co-star. Gina Davis was leading that show, and we were waiting to go on. I was nervous as all get out. And before we went up, we were waiting on lights to be put up. They were fixing and adjusting. She said to everybody, "Let's run lines." And usually you don't get that opportunity to run lines with stars, because they just don't allow that to happen. It's just you come in, you're ready. It's like, we ran lines and ran lines and ran lines until we got everything down pat, and when the lights were ready, boom, we were the last shot of the night. So we were the martini shot. We were the only thing between everybody that was working, the crew, and the bar. We were the only thing between that. It was our shot. And we nailed that thing they shot it all sorts of ways, and we were done and out of there. I value that because it just puts an awareness of where I am. If I'm ever in that position, and most times I am, I will say, come on, let's get these lines out. Let's just get them out there so we don't have we get everybody comfortable and get everybody into the groove of their character, and that really helps. Right. And the other two, I'll say quickly, from NCIS, Mark Harmon and Rocky Carroll. Those two guys, I stepped on the set of NCIS, and I just had there's no such thing as small roles in Hollywood, but I had a very small part as a preacher. Actually, I was a consular preacher, and then I also was the preacher who was at the burial of Rocky Carroll's spouse in that episode. But before that happened, those two guys made me feel like I had been on that cast for 10 years. Wow. They were just so welcoming and so warm. And, they didn't have to be. Not those two. Well, that's Mark Harmon's show. He'd been there for a lot of years, and he did not have to say a thing to me. But that man was one of the nicest human beings on the planet. So he and Rocky with a tag team, awesome. So those are four. I mean, there are others, but these stick out, and these show you or me. They show me that you need to be aware and be kind and be generous with your time, and make sure that people are comfortable where they are, and if they're in character or not, just be nice. Be nice and be warm and be welcoming and be okay with yourself.
Beautiful. That's well said, and I really appreciate that, because that's what we want to spread across the globe is kindness, love, and bring back the passion. And I love the words that you I love that word that you say, hold on to this mess, Yes, embrace the mess. And that's really true, because you go through a lot of ups and downs, but if you could just continue to hold on, you can make it. So that's one of the major points that we would love for our viewers to walk away with, is to be motivated and see the possibilities of what can be achieved if you just don't give up. And sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time, and just being able to plant the seed and put in your work, because life is beautiful. Look at the moment that I'm sharing. This is like a dream that no one could have ever told me about. And there's someone that my producer, she believes in me. She gives me opportunity. I'm trying not to cry, but it's a beautiful thing when someone believes in you. And all I ever wanted was a chance, and that's what she gave to me. And then to have you here and to let me touch something so amazing. This is like a moment that will be relived every second of my life. So I feel like the person in the room that you spoke about that went around and shook everyone's hand, that's how you making me feel right now. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that when I was going to your Facebook page, I was very moved by, after you won your Emmy, how you shared it with everyone, your family, your friends, people in your neighborhood, just pretty much everywhere you go. And the beauty in that is that, like you say, everyone don't know an Emmy Award winner. And as a kid coming all the way up to my age is 55, which hopefully everybody don't hear that, but it's cool. It's a blessing. But the blessing is that I'm able to say I touched an Emmy Award, and I have a friend now that's an Emmy Award actor. And I want you to be able to give my viewers some inspiring words on not giving up on their dreams. Because what's happening is, because in the news all they hear is crimes and killings and what is not possible. I would like for you to leave some encouraging words for my viewers.
So for your viewers, I would ask them to take some time, evaluate where they are, and understand their relationship with their circle, their relationships. Understand where they are there, and take time to reach out, reach forward, reach backward. And in that reaching, it sort of like expands. It expands you. It allows you to grow forward and backwards. Because when you reach back and get one, then you get a better understanding and a knowledge that you didn't have before. You don't know the full set of circumstances, but as you reach back and get one, you will then understand better about just life. And it's about the sharing. It's about the giving. It's about the being okay with yourself on the inside. As I say, happiness is an inside job, and it is. And being okay with that, and having a center that allows you to have the wherewithal to understand the reaching back and reaching forward, and embracing that mess. We have this. Embrace it, understand it, and then move forward. You can spend a lot of time not reaching back. You spend a lot of time doing that. But I think the greater reward, in my opinion, the greater reward is to make sure that you find that person to reach back. I was at the NAACP Theater Awards last night, and I was so impressed. There was a kid, he was 7 years old, and he was doing the interviews on the red carpet. And you just wanted to say, holy moly, that he was so bright and so brilliant. He was there with his cousin, he was there with his aunt, and I was amazed. I'm going, he says, what's the greatest part about this? And I'm going, the greatest part of this night is being right here with you. Right here. Because you're the role model for the next generation. This is a fantastic job you're doing. Absolutely stunning. And he just brushed that beat, took that in, and went on to the next question. And so, what's your next project? And I'm going, holy mackerel, such poise. He took that in, spit out the next, he was on his job. That inspired me to be, the best that I can be, the best role model I can be to anyone, to my children, to their friends, just to be that person who cares enough to give. Yes. So for your viewers, care enough to give. Yes. It's still, you have to embrace that change and that mess, because it's coming, it's here, it's around you, and don't forget to reach back.
One question, this is a two-part question I've been so eager to ask you.
Yes.
When you received your nomination, where were you and how was you informed?
Okay, so they do the nominations on TV. So the first group comes out, and they do the big nominations, and those are on TV. Then in the bottom of the screen, there's a little runner. It says, for more information and for more nominees, go to, NBC.com or CBS.com, whoever it was. So then you go get on their website, and then you look at the list, because there's 127 categories. And you're scrolling through there, and so this is 8 o'clock in the morning. My daughter-in-law had been there since 7. Paula was up, my wife, she was up. We were just up, we're waiting for this. We knew we weren't going to be, we didn't know this. We didn't know if we were going to be on the big screen with the announcements of the major players in the Emmys. So computers were up. We had the computers fired up already. So my daughter-in-law is on the computer, and she's there, and I said, Megan, what, tell me. She goes, I can't get it. And so I go to my computer, and then I look at the computer, and I scroll, and there I am in the field of 6. And I said, I'm in. And then I had to go back and recheck, because maybe those are the people that weren't in. I just didn't read it. I just saw my face in the field of 6. And I said, Megan, what was wrong with your computer? She said, there was nothing wrong with my computer. I just wasn't going to be the one to tell you if you were in or out. So she's smart. She's very smart. She's a doctor. So, so she was not, she already had this calculated. She was not going to be the one. She was going to force me to go to my computer to figure it out. So that was it, and that was actually the start of the campaign. I mean, we had been campaigning, but that was the start of the campaign. And so it was time to get the word out. Yes. And we had at that point in time, we got the publicist. And we started from there in earnest.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that is really great. And so I was watching the Emmys, and when they called your name, what was going through your head, and what was you feeling as you were standing on that stage holding your Emmy for the very, very first time?
Okay, there's 2 answers to that question. One, I can't tell you, because I don't know if this is PG rated or not. But anyway, because I was asked that question by somebody who knew me, and he says, you clapped your hands going up to that stage, not once, but twice. What did you say? And I told him he says, I knew that's what you had said. And when I got up there, that is the toughest acting job in the world. I will tell you, Emmy, Grammy, Academy Award, the toughest acting job is getting up there and actually delivering. Because my kids, if you were listening to that, if you saw the telecast, all that noise, those are my children. They were screaming at the top of their lungs, go Dad, way to go Dad.
Yes.
So, as a dad, you want to just jump right in and scream with them.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't, because I couldn't. I had boys. Kelsey Scott, my running mate from Fear the Walking Dead passage, said, Kim, you only have 30 seconds to talk. Part of that 30 seconds is thanking people. And the other part of that is inspiring the next generation. She says, remember that. So I had this speech that timed out to 35 seconds exactly, and she said, and so after I got rid of thanking everybody that I should have thanked years ongoing, I got down to that last bit where we talked about embracing the mess and thanking the people who put me on stage, who put me there at that moment. And that's what I got to.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your beautiful, beautiful Emmy Award. That was well deserved, because I have definitely seen you in action, and you're awesome. And I really also want to thank you for just being a great motivator to everyone around you. And we really, really appreciate you making time for us today, because to the viewers, I want you to know that Kim Estes is speaking here at California State University University Maritime Academy, which is at 200 Maritime Academy in Vallejo, California, at 6 p.m. tonight. I hope that you were very inspired by his story, his great success. I encourage you to follow him on Facebook. Google him, Kim Estes, which is Estes. And any closing remarks?
First, I want to thank you and the crew for giving me the honor and the pleasure to be right here in this seat and being interviewed by you. It's awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you and your time.
Well, you are definitely an inspiration to me that will go on for years in my life, and you make me want to be better at everything that I'm doing right now. And I, again, thank you. I know that my executive director, Sherry Purett, and Jacqueline, our film crew, definitely appreciate you. Yes. You have just really been a blessing to everyone on the universe. I want to thank my viewers for tuning in to this great success story, our Bay Area own Mr. Kim Estes. Congratulations on your Emmy, and I look forward to seeing you again. And remember, hold on to that mess, like Kim Estes say, and never give up on your dreams. I hope to see you soon. Next time, it's Luella. Bye-bye.
It's Luella.